Civil Peace by Chinua Achebe. Jonathan Awenbu counted himself extraordinarily lucky. Happy survival meant so much more to him than just a current fashion of greeting old friends in the first hazy days of peace. It went deep to his heart. He had come out of the war with 5 inestimable blessings: his head, his wife Maria's head, and the heads of 3 out of their 4 children. As a bonus, he also had his old bicycle, a miracle too, but naturally not to be compared to the safety of 5 human heads. The bicycle had a little story of its own. One day at the height of the war, it was commandeered for urgent military action. Hard as its loss would have been to him, he would still have let it go without a thought, had he not had some doubts about the genuineness of the officer. It wasn't this disreputable rags, nor the toes peeping out of 1 blue and 1 brown canvas shoes, nor yet the 2 stars of his ranks, done obviously in hurry and biro, that troubled Jonathan. Many good and heroic soldiers looked the same or worse. It was rather a certain lack of grip and firmness in his manner. So Jonathan, suspecting he might be amenable to influence, rummaged in his raffia bag and produced the 2 pounds with which he had been going to buy firewood with his wife. Maria retailed to camp officials for extra stockfish and cornmeal, and got his bicycle back. That night he buried it in the little clearing in the bush where the dead of the camp, including his own youngest son, were buried. When he dug it up again a year later after the surrender, all it needed was a little palm oil greasing. "Nothing puzzles God," he said in wonder. He put it to immediate use as a taxi and accumulated a small pile of Biafran money, ferrying camp officials and their families across the 4-mile stretch to the nearest tarred road. His standard charge per trip was 6 pounds, and those who had the money were only glad to get rid of some of it in this way. At the end of a fortnight he had made a small fortune of 115 pounds. Then he made the journey to Enugu and found another miracle waiting for him. It was unbelievable. He rubbed his eyes and looked again. It was still standing there before him. But, needless to say, even that monumental blessing must be accounted also totally inferior to the 5 heads in the family. This newest miracle was his little house in Ogi Overside. Indeed, nothing puzzles God. Only 2 houses away, a huge concrete edifice some wealthy concreter had put up just before the war was a mountain of rubble, and here was Jonathan's little zinc house of no regrets, built with mud blocks, quite intact. Of course the doors and windows were missing, and 5 sheets of the roof. But what was that? And anyhow he had returned to Enugu nearly enough to pick up bits of old zinc and wood and soggy sheets of cardboard lying around the neighborhood before thousands more came out of their forest holes looking for the same things. He got a destitute carpenter with 1 old hammer, a blunt plane, and a few bent and rusty nails in his tool bag to turn this assortment of wood, paper and metal into door and window and shutters for 5 Nigerian shillings or 50 Biafran pounds. He paid the pounds and moved in with his overjoyed family, carrying 5 heads on their shoulders. His children picked mangoes near the military cemetery and sold them to soldiers' wives for a few pennies. Real pennies this time, and his wife started making breakfast carables for neighbors in a hurry to start life again. With his family earnings, he took his bicycle to the village around and bought fresh palm wine, which he mixed generously in his rooms with the water which had recently started running again in the public tap down the road, and opened up a bar for soldiers and other lucky people with good money. At first he went daily, then every other day, and finally once a week to the offices of the coal corporation where he used to be a miner, to find out what was what. The only thing he did find out in the end was that the little house of his was even a greater blessing than he had thought. Some of his fellow ex-miners who had nowhere to return at the end of the day's waiting just slept outside the doors of the offices and cooked what meal they could scrounge together in bonvita tins. As the weeks lengthened and still nobody could say what was what, Jonathan discounted his weekly visits altogether and faced his palm wine bar. But nothing puzzles God. Came the day of the windfall, where after 5 days of endless scuffles in quays and counter-quays in the sun outside the treasury, he had £20 counted into his palms as ex gratia award for the rebel money he had turned in. It was like Christmas for him and for many others like him when the payments began. They called it, since Phil could manage its proper official name, egg rasher. As soon as the pound notes were placed in his palm, Jonathan simply closed it tight over them and buried fists and money inside his trouser pocket. He had to be extra careful, because he had seen a man a couple of days earlier collapse into near madness in an instant before that oceanic crowd, because no sooner had he got his £20 than some heartless ruffian picked it off him. So it was not right that a man in such an extremity of agony should be blamed, yet many in the quays that day were able to remark quietly on the victim's carelessness, especially after he pulled out the innards of his pocket and revealed a hole in it big enough to pass a thief's head. But of course he had insisted that the money had been in the other pocket, pulling it out to show it compared to wholeness, so one had to be careful. Jonathan soon transferred the money to his left hand and pocket so as to leave his right free for shaking hands should the need arise, though by fixing his gait at such an elevation as to miss all approaching human faces, he made sure that the need didn't arise until he got home. He was normally a heavy sleeper, but that night he heard all the neighborhood noises die down one after another. Even the night watchman who knocked the hour on some metal somewhere in the distance had fallen silent after knocking 1 o'clock. That must have been the last thought in Jonathan's mind before he was finally carried away himself. He couldn't have been gone for long, though, when he was violently awakened again. "Who is knocking?" whispered his wife, lying beside him on the floor. "I don't know," he whispered back breathlessly. The second time the knocking came, it was so loud and imperious that the rickety old door could have fallen down. "Who is knocking?" he asked then, his voice parched and trembling. "Native man and him people," came the cool reply. "Make you open the door." This was followed by the heaviest knocking of all. Maria was the first to raise the alarm, then he followed and all their children. "Poliso, thieveso, neighborso, poliso, we are lost, we are dead. Neighbors, are you asleep? Wake up, poliso." This went on for a long time and then stopped suddenly. Perhaps they had scared the thief away. There was total silence, but only for a short while. "You done finish?" asked the voice outside. "Make me help you small. Hola everybody. Poliso, thief mano, neighborso, we done lost. Poliso." There were at least 5 other voices besides the leader's. Jonathan and his family were now completely paralyzed by terror. Maria and the children sobbed inaudibly like lost souls. Jonathan groaned continuously. The silence that followed this alarm vibrated horribly. Jonathan all but begged their leader to speak again and be done with it. "My friend," said he at long last. We don't try our best for call them, but I think say them all done sleepo. So wetin we go do now? Sometime you wanna call soldier or you won't make me call them for you. Soldier better pass police, no be so? Not so, replied his man. Jonathan thought he heard even more voices now than before and groaned heavily. His legs were sagging under him and his throat felt like sandpaper. My friend, why you don't talk again? I'd ask you to say you won't make me call soldier. No. Alright, now make we talk business. We no be bad thief. We no like for make trouble. Trouble done finish. War done finish and all the kata wait for inside. No civil war again. This time no civil peace. No beso? Not so, answered the horrible chorus. What do you want from me? I'm a poor man. Everything I had went with this war. Why do you come to me? You know people who have money. All right. We know you say you no get plenty money, but we sef no get even anini. So therefore make you open this window and give us £100 and we go come out. Otherwise we da come for inside now to show you guitar boy like this. A volley of automatic fire rang through the sky. Maria and the children began to weep aloud again. Ah, this is the cry again. No need for that. We don't talk, say we not good thief. We just take our small money and go wirely. No molest. Abi we don't molest at all, sang the chorus. My friends, began Jonathan hoarsely, I hear what you say and I thank you. If I had £100, look here, my friend. No be play, we come play for your house. If we make mistake and step for inside, you no go like ammo. So therefore, to God who made me, if you come inside and find £100, take it and shoot me and shoot my wife and children. I swear to God, the only money I have in this life is this £21 egg rasher they gave me today. Okay, time to go. Make open this window and bring the £20. We go manage them like that. There were now loud murmurs of dissent among the chorus. Now let the man they lie. I get plenty money. Make we go inside and search properly well. Waiting me £20. Shut up, rang the leader's voice like a lone shot in the sky and silenced the murmuring at once. Are you there? Bring the money quick. I'm coming, said Jonathan, fumbling in the darkness with the key of the small wooden box he kept by his side on the mat. At the first sign of light, as neighbors and others assembled to commiserate with him, he was already strapping his 5-gallon demion to his bicycle carrier, and his wife, sweating in the open fire, was turning over a carabols in a white clay bowl of boiling oil. In the corner his eldest son was rinsing out dregs of yesterday's palm wine from old beer bottles. I count it as nothing, he told his sympathizers, his eyes on the rope he was tying. What is egg rasher? Did I depend on it last week, or is it greater than other things that went with the war? I say, let egg rasher perish in the flames. Let it go where everything else has gone. Nothing puzzles God.